Hello, Fire Kiwi readers. My name's Sonnie Bailey. I'm a sporadic contributor to the Fire Kiwi blog and also blog on my own on the New Zealand Wealth and Risk blog. The purpose of this video, which I'm preparing exclusively for the Fire Kiwi blog, is to demonstrate in just another way the value of having a high savings rate. The concept of having a high savings rate will no doubt be familiar to most people who have an interest in FIRE or financial independence, retiring early. One of the best resources for illustrating that, if you haven't come across it, is an article on Mr. Money Moustache's website where he talks about the shockingly simple math behind early retirement. If you haven't read this article, I encourage you to. In the article, he also takes a screenshot from an online calculator, which is on the networthify.com website. And that's also worth having a look at. That's interactive, and I believe a link to this is on the front page of the Fire Kiwi blog. This is such a key message that it's valuable to come across it in lots of different ways. And so the purpose of my video today is to demonstrate using a spreadsheet how important it can be to have a high savings rate. And I really can't stress this highly enough. In terms of background, I am an authorized financial advisor and I run my own independent financial advice business. And it's so easy to get caught up with this concept of focusing on which investments to make or which products are best, when for a lot of people the key thing that they would benefit from doing in terms of achieving their long-term financial outcomes is just focusing on savings rate, and that key message that spending less than you earn and the corollary earning more than you spend are absolutely vital to achieving decent long-term financial outcomes. And I'm going to demonstrate this with a humble spreadsheet. Now, I want to say ahead of time that this is illustrative only, and I'm going to be making some wild assumptions such as constant income, constant spending, constant rate of return. Now, these are all going to be absolutely untrue in everybody's circumstances. But the key thing here is that I'm trying to get across this message that savings rate is essential to achieving good long-term outcomes. So what I'm going to do is set up a column talking about income, a spending column, and a savings column. Straightforward as that. Now, we're going to take this over a 30-year period. So year 0 represents the first year. Year 1 represents the following year. We'll go up to 30. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I'll just use a nice round income of $100,000, as it really doesn't make a difference what the exact income is. And I'm also oversimplifying wildly, but assuming a constant income, inflation adjusted over that entire period of time. From there, I'm going to determine what the spending and savings is, and grouping all spending into everything into one of these two buckets. I'll put a figure here representing, say, the savings rate. We'll start off at 0.02 or 2%, pretty low, and from there we'll just go that is equal to that. Spending is therefore the difference between income and savings. That calculation follows through for everything. And then we need to extend it further, so we actually need to look at the capital base for this person and the returns that they generate. So we'll have an opening column. We'll have a look at the returns that they generate from the balance from the start of the year, and then a closing column at the end of the year. We'll start at 0. We'll assume returns of, say, 4%. and the returns will be the opening balance multiplied by that 4%. The closing balance will be the opening plus any returns it generated plus savings for that year, and the opening balance for the year following is the closing balance of that previous year. So I'll extend that down to reach 30 years as well. And there we go. Now I'll just purdy it up, put it into dollars and where appropriate percentages. And I'm also just going to add a column that will tell us whether we're there or whether we're financially independent or not. And the way I'm going to determine that is by looking at whether the value of the returns from the accumulated investments of that person exceeds their spending for the year. So by this very simple definition, financial independence is where passive income exceeds expenditure. Again, I'm wildly oversimplifying, but I'm wanting to use this video to demonstrate the broader point. So if that is correct, then we'll just say bingo, you're there. But if it's not, we'll just give the message to keep working. So I think in each of these scenarios, we're going to get that message that the person needs to keep working or increase their savings rate. Now, I'm just going to do something a little bit tricky here for reasons that will perhaps come clear, but I'm actually just going to and I'll just make that disappear because I'm going to add a slider to this, and this will just make it easier for me to demonstrate what I'm hoping to demonstrate. What this lets me do is just change what that percentage savings figure is, and you'll see that even a single change in the savings rate therefore changes the investments over time. So if we move from, say, 6% to 7%, this figure will change quite profoundly. The other impact is if we change the savings rate again, up 1%, the returns column will also increase as that person spends more. Now there's a few factors at work here. So I'm assuming returns are going to be constant. That's a different conversation. But really all we're looking at here is savings relative to spending for somebody. Now, the more you save as a percentage of your income, the earlier you'll get to in terms of being financially independent. In fact, it will determine whether you get there at all, and most people don't. Now, there are a couple of ways that having a high savings rate helps, or numerous ways. One is that the more you save, the more you will build up a balance. And the more and the sooner you build up that balance, the more you will get in terms of returns. The other benefit is that as your savings rate increases, the level of spending that you come to rely on reduces as well. So the amount that you actually need in order to generate returns is actually lower for a lower spending amount. So savings has a profound impact, and what your standard level of expenditure is also has a huge impact on where you'll go. So let me just work on the slider and see how we go with the savings rate. We're up to 30% savings rate, and based on a 4% return starting at 0, we're still not there. We're not financially independent yet. So we've got this person or this household with $70,000 worth of expenditure, they've accumulated a really decent nest egg, but it's still not generating a return that exceeds their spending. We'll get there very soon, and bingo! By saving 31%, and therefore requiring spending of $69,000, they've got this figure exceeding. And as you'll see, if we go back where it was $70,000, they're only getting $67,000, and they needed to get $70,000. So it's quite a big difference. And as we move up the figures, you'll start to see bingo occurring earlier and earlier. Now, it might seem almost unrealistic or unbelievable that people will start to will be saving 50% of their income. It does happen. There are a number of people that are really dedicated to retiring early, but that's really the key. The higher the percentage that you save, the less you need in spending, the less you need to actually generate a return. But while you're also saving more, the more you get there and the faster your returns appreciate. So it's a virtuous cycle, and certainly how you invest your money isn't going to have nearly as big of an impact on the proportion that you manage to save, as long as you don't do anything dumb with the money that you save. I hope that's useful. I hope that illustrates a really key aspect of becoming financially independent. And even if it's not becoming financially independent, which most people don't, and you don't need to, there's a whole raft of considerations in terms of decumulation. I mean, even the simple fact that if you are planning a retirement, actually trying to live off less than your passive income might result in you having a much lower level of lifestyle than you perhaps could get away with. But that's another conversation. The key thing here is that savings rate is really important in terms of getting to where you want to be financially. Thanks, Via Kiwis, for your time. I hope you found that useful and interesting. If you have any feedback, feel free to contact me. I'm most easily available on the New Zealand Wealth and Risk blog